And okay, welcome to live chat. Okay, I have actually turned on the live stream and forgot to enable chat the other day, so I wanted to be sure I actually did that today. Otherwise, we all can't chat with each other. So, well, I hope everyone's doing well. The dogs are lit, like all of them. They're just flipping out. They're running around fighting. Bentley's picking fights, but that's nothing more. Bentley will get snipped this weekend, so hopefully that'll mellow him out so he's not tearing up the house. His bravery is to the point that it's going to become self-destructive here at some point, because he has no perception of the fact that he's only 30 pounds. Ooh, that's hot. So, I hope everyone's doing well. Hey, good morning, Ontario. Good to see you. Folks, the people in Florida are having a rough ride right now. So if you have any friends down there, please check on them. Make sure they're doing okay. Hey, Fed Up, what's going on? Actually, every time I pick up the honey, Peppermint knows what it is. Here, come on. Maybe they wanted honey. So I'm assuming it doesn't kill them because I've been doing that like every other day since I had them. But yeah, the folks in Florida are having a rough time, y'all. A rough morning for sure, especially the new transplants. Yeah, constitutional. It's funny, we were watching the storm and my wife looked at me yesterday and said, I was kind of stressed out about the hurricane. Then I realized I don't live there. Like we don't live on the coast anymore, so it's not something we're really worried about. Hey, good morning. Who's that? Oh, Glenn. Hey, what's going on, buddy? I hope everyone's doing well. The munchkin's good. Hey, Bug Out. You hear them? They're just flipping out. Everyone's gone potty. Everyone's eating breakfast. They just have this surge of energy. The corgis are all over there, and the Papillon's hiding. I think he gave up getting beat up by the other three, so he's hidden himself somewhere, probably with a cookie. But yeah, they were outside earlier, and the damn sprinkler went off on them, and they just came running in because they don't want any part of the sprinkler. But folks, this is yet another example of what's going on in Florida. Do you bug in or bug out? I've only evacuated for one hurricane, which wound up turning at the last minute, which was Rita. And my experience in the evacuation or leaving the city was one of the worst decisions I've made, honest to God. And not that there aren't times you will have to flee your home, like the Maui fire. If you didn't flee, you just burned, you died. But that was terrible. Hey, good morning, Fallen Skies. So I lived on the north side of Houston, out in the suburbs, actually almost out in the country. And the morning people all decided they were going to bail. Hey, Henry, good morning. Weather's pretty rough. Are you in Florida, or are you just having storms all by yourself over there? Hold on, I got a corgi running off with my sneaker. Hey, that's not what we do with my shoe. Get out of here. Oh, no, they just decided it was a good idea to run off. I evacuated for Rita. I lived in Lake Charles at the time. Okay, so I lived in North Houston, and we turned on the news, and we're like, hey, it's a Category 4, whatever it was. And the I-45, which goes from Houston on the coast to straight north almost to Dallas, the 30-minute drive between the north side of Houston and the Woodlands, which is like a little city enclave just north of town. Normally it's 30 minutes, 45 with normal rush hour traffic. It was 5 to 7 hours just to get there. It's an abnormal amount of time. Like you could have ridden a horse faster and gotten there. And we decided instead, the storm was coming up. It had already passed Corpus Christi. And my wife's godfather he's an old Vietnam vet. He lived in South Texas. So I said, hey, let's go that way. Because the storm's not going to turn around and make a 90-degree turn and go the other way, right? It's going to come up. So basically we did an end run. We went around the storm before it got to the coast. I made it through the city, using the back roads, and it took me about an hour. There were people who were doing the same thing I was. They were going south, trying to head to Corpus because the storm was definitely not going that way. And they went on the highway and they got trapped on it was an elevated highway, so you only had an exit every like couple of miles. They were stuck there to where they almost ran out of gas. The gas stations either ran out of gas or were only giving the fuel to first responders. And so we went south and we got across the city in about 40 minutes, which actually is not bad. And eventually we had to get on a highway, and everyone was merging, and everyone was fine, right? Everyone knew we were all screwed. Like, we're just gonna have to get through this intersection, and then everyone will either go to San Antonio or go south to like Corpus, or they'll go somewhere else. And I was driving in front of my wife, and she had my daughter who was young at the time. And this car full of 20-year-olds basically wanted to merge in, and it wasn't their turn to merge, and they were putting their bumper, I mean, they were inches from the door, and they're honking and cursing and throwing things at my wife's car. And that's one of the few times I almost shot someone in public, because I was in front of my wife and I looked back, and we had walkie-talkies, so another reason to have walkie-talkies even if you don't have a ham radio. Much of North Florida and South Georgia out of fuel. Well, there's a bunch of fuel trucks from Texas headed that way right now. That's the thing with hurricanes. If you need to evacuate, you need to do it at least 1 to 2 days beforehand. Constitutional, absolutely. Took my sister's 19-hour bug out from Houston to San Angelo. Yeah, and that drive, Houston to San Angelo, should be about 7 hours, because I've driven it. I actually drive it regularly. And it was supposed to hit Texas, but hit Louisiana at the time. And 8 months pregnant, and they thought I should leave, which was, yeah, that was probably a good call. Hey, Jim. Gotta say, Doug and Stacy had a show from 5 days ago. That is a must-see. Good? Okay, folks, we'll definitely check that out. Hey, Rapture. But, yeah, this guy was trying to run my wife and daughter off the road. Hey, that's bordering on fighting and not playing. Now they're all full of drool because they've been brawling with each other. Their tongues are hanging out. Maybe they'll get the fighting out of them and they'll calm the hell down. I don't know what rambunctiousness compelled the dogs this morning, but they've been like that since like 4:45. But anyway, we wound up, a 6-hour trip took us 12, which, considering the circumstances, was not bad, and we did find fuel south of town. Hey, Random. But, it made me realize, and what's ironic, we got to South Texas, right? We made it outside of Corpus, which is where her uncle lived, or her godfather. And we're watching the news, and this was 2 days before landfall. The day before landfall, there was nobody on the roads because they'd either already left or they hunkered down. It took 3 hours, 4 cans of mixed gas, and a chainsaw to even get to town last night. Oh, Henry, that's awful, bud. Much of Florida and South Georgia out of fuel, yeah. Halfway between Waycross and Jessup, Georgia, headed back to Virginia. So you're getting all the spin-off storms. Bug out, I'm glad I'm in the desert. And then being out west in the Southwest has its own problems. I have family in Quincy and Panama City. Yeah, it's tough because on the one hand, you get caught on the road and you make the wrong decision, you leave at the wrong time. The way Houston was set up, they had zones from the coast going in. So like zone 1 was right on the coast, zone 2 was behind that, zone 3 and so on. And they were said, zone 1 evacuate. Well, when they told zone 1 to evacuate, the whole damn city decided to go at once. And they had not set up the contraflow lanes. And what that means is, you have northbound and southbound, and you're trying to go north away from the city. They assign 2 or 3 of the southbound lanes to go north, right? They basically open up both sides of the highway. to get the flow of traffic going. They hadn't set them up yet. So all they did was have a disaster, and by the time the civil engineers and the DOT got to do it, people were running out of gas. Or the DOT vehicles couldn't make it to the location because of the traffic. So that's the only hurricane we left for. We stuck around for Lily, we stuck around for Harvey, for Ike. The one that happened after Rita, I forgot what the hell it was. I told my wife when we got to Corpus, I'm like, well, I'm never going to live that close to the coast to where the storm's going to flood me with the surge. So from now on, I'll be better off staying at my house. And if it gets damaged, it gets damaged with me there. The dogs call it playing. They do. Hey, we don't do that. Oh, he's fighting with Peppermint now. Both girls are fighting with Bentley now. Now he's listening to me with his ears. I see these ears over the dining table. He's listening. He's like, Dad scolded me for something, but I'm not sure. Dude, if you eat my shoe again, I'm gonna smack you with it. Oh shit. Yeah, he's due for a snip. Yeah, because I don't want him escaping, and then I have 22 corgis. We don't need that. They're a pain in the ass, just 3 of them. Hurricane pretty much caught everyone by surprise down here. Wasn't much you could do except for standard preps. Yeah, no, Henry. It's bad rain throughout the days. The problem is the storm is so big, it's going to start spawning off those smaller storms in all directions. People look at the eye of the storm, and they're like, oh, the hurricane, but you have to factor in the rain. And then as it goes north, right, it's dropping water, and it's going to go all the way through South Carolina. I think it's going to go through Pennsylvania, past Pensacola. It's going to go through Florida. It's going to hit the Carolinas, and then it's supposed to make this weird-ass U-turn in the Atlantic and come back down and hit Cuba, which would be really weird. I've seen storms do that, but it's rare. But people don't realize it's dropping water, so even after it passes Florida and it's going to make a mess there, all that water has to now go back somewhere. Like that extra rain in the hills in South Carolina, Appalachia, the tail end of the Appalachians, the water has to go south, right? It has to go down. So that is going to flood everything. That's what happened in Georgia and South Carolina declared a state of emergency yesterday. Yeah, I figured. And one of the things people don't realize is after Harvey made its circles and it just destroyed everything, it went north really slow, dumped a bunch of rain on northern Texas and the eastern part of Louisiana all the way up to, like Bossier City. All that water went into the Trinity River and the other rivers and the Mississippi, and then came back down the coast and flooded everything again like 4 days later. So we were flooded from the storm, and then 4 days later, like Beaumont completely got put underwater. Supposed to tear up from Florida to Jersey and then make the loop. Yeah, it's a weird storm, Henry. It's really weird. And there's not much you can do. Either you should have left 4 days ago or 2 days ago, and you do get these spin-off tornadoes. And that happened all the time in Louisiana and Texas. We get spin-off tornadoes from the storm. And especially on the dirty side, and because of the way Florida is shaped, all the spin-off tornadoes are going to be in Florida. And then it's going to go up the coast and hit Georgia and the Carolinas. This is a nasty storm. It's going to cause a lot of flooding. In the Carolinas especially, you got the mountainous, the hill country there with the Appalachians. And that's going to start funneling that water, and it's going to hit a bunch of towns on the river. So it's going to be a rough ride for everyone in the Southeast right now. Only thing I could do, I'd recommend everybody check on your friends, check on any family as best you can. In a case like that, it's the standard preps, right? They love to come straight up I-75. We always used to say that if they went to y'all on the coast, it would go up 75. If it hit us, it would go right up I-45 and go and flood Dallas a little bit on the way out of town. The Texas tour, right? If you have friends in the area, I'd check in on them. One tornado experience will cause PTSD. Well, bug out. Yeah, and tornadoes are tough because you see the hurricane, right? We have the technology where you see this thing coming and you're like, okay, there's a storm there. We kind of know where it's going. Tornadoes are like, they're there and they're gone. And you've got minutes to react to that. You know, it's like getting hit with a missile. You know, you got a couple of minutes to basically freak out. Um, yeah, it's going to be rough. The hurricane was all over the news. I was going to do a live stream this morning and share the updates, but like I think we're inundated with this stuff. The only thing you can do, stay off the road, keep your vehicle fueled up. It's the stuff we all should be doing anyway, right? You guys have heard me say, you know, that 80-20 rule. Make sure what you buy is good for 80% of what you need, 80% of the things that could happen. Even better yet, 90. Don't focus on that oddball, like, you know, having a chemical weapon attack is possible, but you're way more likely to get flood, hurricane, earthquake, tornado, riot than chemical weapon attack. Although a refinery spill would put shit in the air too, right? So what do you need for all those 80%, right? The food, the first aid kits, flashlights, rain gear, water boots. A 3-hour tour, it started getting rough. Yeah. Gilligan's Island, God. God, I used to watch that all the time as a kid. But hey, Coffee just snuck in here. You know, it is a Camille-sized storm. What category was it when it hit? Because last night late they were saying it would strengthen to about a 4. Did it do that, or did it stay a 3? Grand Rapids last Thursday night. Thanks, Bug Out. So it did hit as a 3. Yeah, it's that kind of stuff's, it's dangerous, right? It's not to be taken lightly, but having been through so many and hurricanes, I should have called myself hurricane prepper, but then I wound up in the desert, so that's kind of silly now. Ryan Hall, y'all is probably the most accurate weather person out there, honestly, and he's independent. You know, the general preps. Our big fear is if you evacuate and you get caught in a vehicle during the hurricane, you're really screwed. You're in trouble, like you're life-threatening trouble. I'd rather be in a flooded house and deal with that, where at least I know the area. I can take steps to get my preps higher and my equipment higher if I need to for flooding. You know, you get roof damage or whatever. It's hard to call because, like on Galveston, it just got devastated by the last hurricanes, and people stayed. They're like, no, we're staying. And the mayor of the town said all the first responders are going to retreat into the city and into the operations areas. And once they basically said when the storm winds hit 40 miles an hour, we're not sending fire trucks. At 50, we're not sending police cars or ambulances. You're on your own until they go past. And he said, because I can't put the responders and the guardsmen at risk because you're not listening to us. And hey, good morning, Urban. Hey, Nunya, what's going on? Canadian, hello. So, yeah, it's coffee first. Wait, I lost track of there we go. Okay. The chat jumped on me and threw me off. But folks, you know, a scenario like this, so we've seen the Maui fire, and I'm a big fan of learning from what other people are going through. I got so many screw-ups to fix this morning. All right, no worries. You take care, Canadian. I gotta probably have a conference call sometime this morning. Wednesdays, I have so many conference calls that I don't even go into the office because it's easier for me. I got fiber optic here, and I got multiple screens. It's easier for me to just put a headset on and sit down and go through all the meetings in the morning. Because otherwise I'll just be screwed up. Hey, the warden, what's going on? I'm glad you can make it. KP, sunny and breezy here. It's going to be a nice day. It'll be about 97 today, which is hot, but it's not 113 like it was 2 weeks ago. I don't even know what day today is. Is it Wednesday? That's a good question. It should be Wednesday, yes. Isn't it sad when you know what day of the week it is based on the conference calls you have or the work you have to do, as opposed to normal people looking at a calendar and going, oh, today's Wednesday. I'll take the trash out tonight, otherwise I'm going to have stinky trash. The cats decided to bring me gifts, and the gifts are in a trash bag that's now in the bin outside, and I'm like, I got to bring that to the street or that's going to smell horrendous. To find normal people. That's a good question, Coffee. I couldn't even tell you anymore. I guess you don't kill and eat random people. That's kind of a wide, low bar, right? Wide buoys. All my wisdom came from failures. Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, you think about it. When you were a kid, you went up the slide the wrong way, right? Because I used to, those big metal slides, you guys remember that? Or the merry-go-round of death, right? Gen Z does not understand that our playgrounds, for like Gen X especially, but the millennials got a lot of it too, because the playgrounds were still around for y'all. Those were the playgrounds of trauma, right? You'd get those big metal merry-go-rounds, and it was never a merry-go-round. It became Satan's wheel, right? All the kids would pile on. You get 3 or 4 of the big kids, and you start spinning that damn thing till you eject the other kids, and whoever stayed on last. Doesn't happen often, random. A 3/4 ton truck with at least 90 cylinder blocks will add stability if you have no other option for a bad storm. Yeah, 3/4 ton is a good thing. According to that scale, I'm normal, not me. I think we're all normal in our own way. And gravel playground, yeah. Who was the genius who decided I'll put wood chips and dirt? That will protect children from falls. God, I busted my ass on those damn chips. And then you get splinters, they get in your mouth. It was awful. Yeah, Nunya did have a good live. I thought I shared it out, Nunya. I tried to. I've been having issues trying to share other people's videos. Like, you know how you can do a community post and say, hey, check out, Nunya, or check out my mother's Spark. And hey, Winter Homestead. I've been trying to share everyone's videos if I see them. We played on concrete playgrounds. People ask why you didn't play. I didn't play baseball, and I'm like, we didn't have grass fields. Like, we had to play softball because we had concrete fields. You don't slide to first on concrete. You kill yourself. And then half the time you'd hit the runner with the damn ball anyway, and it was a fist fight in center field. It was rough growing up. Anyone ever play handball or wall ball, where you have the concrete wall with the 2 lines? It's basically like tennis or squash, but with a little rubber ball, and you wear a glove and you smack the ball as opposed to use a racket. And then it became suicide, where you throw the ball and kids would catch it off the wall. And if you tried to catch, if you touched the ball and dropped it, you had to run to the wall and tag it to be safe. Otherwise, the nearest kid will grab the ball and throw it at you, and he gets the point if he hits you with the ball. And we had so many welts, black eyes. We'd come home with bloody noses. There were times kids would tag the wall, but the kid had already thrown the ball, and he'd turn around and said, I'm safe, and get hit in the face anyway. Hey, Rapture. God, thinking back, we played some brutal games as kids. So, and I was that dad when I was raising my kids. You know those big pillow displays in Walmart, right? It's basically a big box with pillows, and they pull the thing out so people could select a pillow. And I'd go walking by, and I'd just shove my daughter in there. Box would fall over, and I'd walk away, and there was pillows everywhere, and she'd be like, Dad! Nostra, but it made us a lot tougher. It made us a little bit feral, too. Dodgeball was another one. That was like one of the few sports in elementary school, because I was a bit heavy in elementary school, that I was good at, because I was quick with my hands and I could not block the other balls. And I got good at popping them in the air so my teammates would catch them. So dodgeball was awesome. Dodgeball was my favorite. So, and yeah, but we survived. Definitely not a snowflake. And when you talk shit to people, right? People are cowardly now. And I don't mean everyone, but there are a lot of cowards, like the trolls, right? They'll come I had a guy come on one of my videos, never seen him in a live stream, never commented on my videos. I've been doing this, what, 3 years now? Never seen him in my chats, never seen him in Visions, My Mother's Spark, Hudson Valley, never seen this freaking guy. Showed up in a video of mine he didn't like for whatever reason, and just started to insult me in the comments. And I'm like, the only reason you're doing that is because you feel entitled to do it because you're across the country behind an IP address. When I grew up, I ran my mouth, I got punched. So I needed to either be faster than the other kid, hide better, or be able to outfight him. Yeah, otherwise you got an instant consequence. And now people are like, your words are violence. No, pendejo, it's not violence. I'll show you violence. Exactly, there was honor in insulting people. No stress because they have small brains, among other things. It's just absolutely silly. I did that video on stalking and trafficking. The number of men who came on there, which really blew my mind. There were a lot of dads and husbands and fathers who were like, yeah, that happened to my daughter. 98% of the people were, sharing information. Hey, this happened to my daughter. This happened to my wife. It happened to me. A mom was saying, I showed my daughter this video so she'd know. And then there was like every other day you'd get this one guy who'd be like, if one guy put, if bitches didn't dress like that, they wouldn't get raped or something like that. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? So you look at that person's channel, right? Because you want to see what level of idiot he is. And he has what looks like a penis as an emoji. And he has no videos, right? And I just look and I'm like, that tells me everything I need to know about this person. So yeah, Rapture blows my mind. People would act like that. And so, I see other creators like on TikTok where you can show the quote and then talk to it. Cause I'll like, if someone asks me a question like, oh, hey, I need to know about solar power. Like I did yesterday, I can put the quote and talk to the quote and say, okay, so, Joe Schmo asked about solar power. But those, I don't even acknowledge them. I just block them, I kick them off, I mute them. I had one on YouTube, didn't like my video, and just started insulting me. And then at the bottom put blessings. That just made it worse. Like, no, that didn't make you a good Christian telling me blessings. That made you a hypocrite, which the Lord has clearly stated that's even worse than being a sinner. Because it's a sinner with attitude, right? And if you just ignore, hey, I'm kind of screwed up, that's fine. And it's like, who the hell's I replied to that person. I'm like, first of all, who the hell are you? And second of all, you don't have the right to insult him. But third of all, what did I say? I hope you have the day you deserve, because it's not going to be a good one or something like that. Something really snarky back to him. And then he started cursing at me, so I kicked him off the channel. I get one maybe a month now because I don't acknowledge them. If they start shit, they're gone. There was a troll last week using well-known content creator screen names and attacking others on live stream. See, and if you guys ever see that, I've actually done it where who was it? I caught off guard. There was a troll in one of my early live streams, and Klingon Princess, before she got the new job, was in there. Hey, New York City prepper, what's going on? And she goes, somebody was just being ugly in the chat. And I said, Klingon, I'm going to make you a mod, because I couldn't see my screen. I was like, I'm going to make you a mod. Kick that guy off. And I made her a mod, and she immediately went, kicked him off. And then she's been a mod ever since. She got a new job, so she can't come on very often. But yeah, I recruited someone on the spot. I made 2 mods, and they went after the trolls. You made it when you get trolls. No kidding. The other day, who hasn't attacked me in a long time? Been about 2 years. The Russian sex bots. Ever since the war started, I guess the hackers are busy now. Where you would get, pretty girls, heart, or some dumb shit, and they'd put a link, or they tried to put a website or something. And I haven't seen them in forever. I don't know if YouTube got better at stopping them, or if the war started in Ukraine and all the hackers, Hunter keeps the sex bots tied up these days. Ugh. Okay, does Hunter have new teeth? Because I saw that picture of him with the crack pipe, and the homeboy had no teeth. He looked like a crackhead, you know, and the teeth were all gone, and now he has this really handsome smile. And it's like, I mean, I applaud him. He's trying to be better, but dude, what you doing? Where your teeth? God, that guy's a hot mess. So we have a cokehead in the White House. A potato is president. This is the president. And then, of course, like the leading contender on the other side is Potty Mouth. But I like Potty Mouth's policies. It's just very disruptive. But maybe that's what we need. We need someone to go and just shake the shit out of the tree again. I don't know. Your tax dollars at work. I get verbally attacked by punks or trolls sometimes. See, yeah. And I usually kick them off if they get out of hand. Every now and then I'll get a troll that's a good troll, like it's a useful troll. Like they put out a really good comment, like I don't agree because blah, blah, blah. And that can spawn a whole new conversation. And that's cool. Like if you're being a productive troll, like, hey, I don't like you, but this is why. But when they just start with the insults or threatening to rape someone in the chat, like what the hell is wrong with you? One guy came on and his channel was all, he used to hide, you know how you can do a cartoon overlay of your face? So he used a pickle. His entire channel was him making jokes about basically molesting females with pickles. But he had like a salt and pepper beard. You could see through the cartoon mask. So this wasn't like a 15-year-old stoner who's like, the pickles. No, this was a grown-ass man. So I started going to all his videos and saying, you're a pervert and a pedo. And I started trolling him. And then I made a video of him, this was on TikTok, that, hey, if you get this guy, look, he's a pervert. And he blocked me. So I guess I took it. I mean, he had, what the hell? Like, I honestly think the creation of the platforms has allowed crazy people to be amplified somewhat, as opposed to people trying to be productive. And what's scary, they then go on the street and act like that. Have you noticed that? Like, there's a lot more random punchings and, you know, smash and grabs. It's like we have a whole generation that doesn't understand the concept of getting their ass beat. Because, you know, we had smash and grabs when I was a kid in New York, but man, that's when New York police had those damn wooden batons. No, before they had the little telescopic thing, they had the freaking wooden ones, like the old Irish cops. They would whack the shit out of people. Like they didn't need a taser. They would club the shit out of you or shoot you with those old 38s, but it was usually they'd come up, and it was a long-ass club. I mean, this thing was about 3 feet long. Face punch does matter. And they would whack the shit out of the criminals. The Giuliani days. Yeah, no kidding. Giuliani was the one who got them, consolidated the police, and then got them using the Glock 19s, which was probably the best move the cop did. And then NYPD, they were shooting themselves because they didn't know how to handle the automatics. They were shooting themselves by accident, like foot shots, leg shots. One guy blew a hole in his desk because my sensei growing up was a homicide cop. He was a detective. And he'd come in and he'd be like, yeah, they just gave like the 110th precinct Glocks, and they've had one guy shot himself in the leg and someone blew a hole in the window. And so now they all have to go for retraining. he was a Vietnam vet, so he didn't understand. Billy Club. Show me how to use it. I'll tell you what, Suburban, a billy club, which was basically a shillelagh, it was an Irish shillelagh, but made official by the police. That is a super effective self-defense weapon. And you can make one out of anything. You get a 1.5-inch closet rod, like a dowel, and you smooth it out, and you will smack the crap out of someone with a knife. Even if they have a gun, they're close enough, you're gonna knock the gun out of them. Anyone know the good number of chickens for a family of 4? That's a good question. I do not know. Hey folks, prepping artists have a pretty good question here. Hey, Kill It and Grill It. We have a chicken raising question. Anybody, I can't share it on the screen prepping. Anybody know a good number of chickens for a family of 4? Somebody told me, hey, oops, uh, I don't remember the breed, but they said a chicken will produce 2 eggs a day. So if you have 4, and I don't know, I'm just 6 hen, there are 4 people, we have too many eggs. So maybe 4, depends if you want meat birds or eggs. The warden 10 to 12. We 35, 4 rabbits. Oh, you got a big family. Hey, you know what you could do is start with 4 and see if that creates enough production and then add to the 4. Because it'll be easier to scale up than to scale down. Although you can eat the chickens or give them away and scale down that way. But, you know, you start with 4 and get them going. Get pullets. I'm assuming the warden, that's pullets is a breed, correct? Yeah, you can scale up. Scale down by sending them to the freezer camp. Right. Yeah, I can't have chickens out here. They'll freaking die in this 103 degree shit. I gotta tear up my yard. I gotta get a machine to do that. I went after it with a shovel and like the aerating tool by hand. No, I'm hitting rocks and caliche and shit. I gotta get a dude to basically mulch up the whole yard and then put soil in there so I get some porosity and perm. And then I can replant grass. I might put a flower bed. Somebody in the neighborhood did 2 vegetable gardens, but they screwed it up, and when they went to sell the house, they just had these dead plants in ground boxes all over the yard. They didn't do it right at all, and they didn't think of resale value. Someone else did beautiful gardens, and she got an extra 20 grand on the sale of her house because they had a functional garden. But this dude did it, poor boy, but he did it wrong, and it looked awful. So if you're wanting chickens for eating, though, you'll need about 50 meat birds for a year. 6 to 10 if you eat eggs every day. I like extras around. Ha! Autocorrect strikes again. Pull is age between a chicken. Oh, pulling. So, but yeah, folks, make mistake having too many chickens. They need about 4 square feet per chicken. Yeah, kill it. That's why I'm thinking, if you're not sure, because when I start chickens, my son was FFA and he used to compete with show chickens. So I can always call him, and my daughter's a veterinarian. I can call her. And she was FFA as well. But I'm going to get like a couple because it's just 2 of us. Or 2 or 3 and then see how it works. Almost a Biden campaign again came on. Boy, is their algorithm messed up. Biden campaign. Anyway, I'm not gonna go there. I already got a warning from YouTube for something else I did last week, so I'm gonna try to behave for a bit. They all won't lay every day, so you shouldn't have too many eggs. Okay, that's good to know. So folks, learn from what you're seeing. As I was saying at the beginning of the video. What type of video for that? The Maui fires, the hurricane, some of the other shit we've seen, the flooding, the fires in Canada. These are good examples of scenarios where you may have to bug out, may have to bug in. You know, you have to make that decision. If you don't have a deployment bag or a bug out bag, if you have decent suitcases, like we can pack for a week-long trip in about 30 minutes. So we can be out the door, dogs, pets, papers, cash, the whole 9 yards really quick. Not everyone's there. At least have a plan in your head. Like, if I have to go, what do I need? Where do I get the stuff? How do I pack it up? What vehicles go, etc. The other thing to think about before we go is, where are you going? Because if you're on the road and you don't have a destination, you're now a refugee, not an evacuee. You know what I mean? Because you go to a town and you don't have a hotel room or a place to stay, the sheriff's going to be like, you got to go to the shelter, because he has to protect his town. And the cops are going to be like, you got to go to the shelter whether you want to be there or not. If you can say, oh, well, you drive into a town that may be blocked off and you're like, I'll be staying at this hotel. I have a room for a week. I've already made reservations. Here's my reservation. They'll let you get into that hotel. I saw it happen after Harvey. People were showing up in towns looking for hotel rooms. The hotels outside of the affected zone were all full, and basically they're like, you got to stay at the shelter. You can't sleep in your car in the park. Yeah, that's not going to work. So, hey, prepping artists, you're getting a lot of good info on the on the chickens. I've got 31. They lay almost every day. My running coop together, square feet 324 square feet per bird, should be able to have about 80 birds, but I have only 36. Okay, that's good to know, Henry. Chickens average about 4 to 5 eggs a week, so 8 chickens. I would be a refugee, almost non-existent. And coffee, had you considered in your local area getting to know the city council or the emergency plan, or even volunteering with the volunteer fire department, even if you can't physically like get on a truck, because my knee's screwed up, I'd be limited with what I could do. But you can, help do paperwork or restock and organize the fire station, because I know a lot of folks who are volunteer dispatchers. So if something really bad happened out here and all the firefighters go out and people have to evacuate, they'll actually put those volunteers in the station house with their families, and they keep the station house running and stocked and inventoried while the firefighters are going in and out doing their thing. Just something to think about if you're involved with some of these, hey, my skydive, some of these responding organizations. You can actually be part of the response, and then you get up-to-date information, right? I was still in the Guard when Harvey hit. I was getting told, and then I also called my brother, who is still active duty in the Navy, that even though the news was saying, 8 to 10 inches, we were hearing internal reports, it could be upwards of 50 if the storm floods, and sure enough, it was 54 inches hit Houston in a week, right? And the whole area, not just Houston, San Antonio, the whole area. But I knew in advance, and so we made a decision, like, do we stay or go? But I knew we were on high ground where I was, so we stayed. But I told a neighbor who was down the hill by the golf course, I said, the golf course is designed to flood from the bayou. That's a flood zone. You need to leave. And he was a rich dude, like Daddy was rich. He had a really bougie house. No, I'm good. His house got 6 inches of water. His Cadillac was in the freaking bayou and shit. I'm sure he had insurance, but he saw me after. He's like, man, I should have listened to you because it made a mess. It freaked out the kids. I'm like, buddy, But yeah, coffee, if you get to know local first responders, Red Cross, Salvation Army, even the churches, a lot of churches in Texas anyway, will do volunteer shelters. You get to know them, you start getting to know the constables, the sheriff, whatever your law enforcement agency is, the fire departments. You become part of that responding community, and then you kind of get to know what's going on. And, you can offer to help them for fundraisers. Responders will take care of their friends and their own. And so if, God forbid, something happens where you may have to bug out, maybe you may not have to bug out across to another state. You may just have to go a mile up the road to somewhere safer because of water or something. You can reach out to them and say, hey, I need to evacuate. And they can try and find you a place to go. There were a lot of folks, had to continue. We also buy layer pellets and meat birds. We mix it together in a 15-pound. I grow stuff for my chickens, but still feed them cracked corn and laying crumbles, plus a mix, all flocked with stock mix and molasses. Wow. Chickens are more than for egg, also excellent compost manure. Actually, chickens are great for bug control. Somebody was telling me, I don't know who it was in a chat, that 2 hens will consume like 10 pounds of bugs. Hey, Joe, 10 pounds of bugs a week or something like that. They just peck the shit out of everything that walks around the yard. And I'm thinking to myself, man, you get rid of ticks, scorpions, spiders, small snakes, because I've seen chickens peck the shit out of a snake. And they're accurate with those pecks. Get rid of all those pests, and Then they fertilize the yard because they poop out all the bugs and shit. But I don't know. I see benefit to having chickens. Actually, somebody posted in the neighborhood Facebook group a beautiful hen walking around the street, and someone said someone lost their chicken. And then somebody replies, why don't they just let us homestead? Collectively, we could get a pile of chickens and we'd be self-sufficient. And I'm like, we've got other preppers in my neighborhood. They're just being really quiet about it. So, lots of crickets. Send thousands of them to DC. Need big chickens for those roaches. My chickens love to trim my medicinal plants. Happy hen. Those hens are sitting there with twirly eyes like Pikachu. But anyway, guys, look, I gotta get ready for the day. It was great chatting with y'all. Hey, watch what's going on and learn lessons. Henry, if you're in that area, and those of you who are affected, be careful, stay off the roads. Most of the fatalities during Harvey were people in their car getting swept into high water or drowning. There were very few fatalities, some falling limbs, some lightning. It was people in cars, so be smart. And you guys be careful. We'll check on everybody tomorrow. If anybody's in need of assistance, you can email me, let me know if one of the YouTubers is needing help or needs advice. Put the comment in the video below or tag me or email me, and I'll share it on social media. Hey, Texas Lala, I'm about to wrap up, but thanks for joining. Y'all be blessed, be safe. Watch the mistakes and the good moves the people in Florida and the Carolinas and Georgia are making. That's how we learn how to be better, is by watching what other people do. You guys be safe, take care, God bless, and I will see you later this week.